Hey, welcome. Jonathan here with Perception. Today we are in our year of fundraising series. We are looking at part one of September, where we are delivering throughout the course of the whole year 365 ideas. We want to help you be creative, to inspire you, to encourage you. You're not meant to do all of these ideas. Our last post in August was about year in giving, so I encourage you to click. We'll have a button in this September part one for you to take our year in giving planner. I know it's just mid-September right now, but the last 3 months of the year, October, November, and December, they're the biggest financial giving months of the year. 40% of all annual giving happens in those 3 months. So we really want people to have a solid plan, a way that you are engaging with your supporters. You're sitting down, meeting them personally. You want to stand out. You don't just want to be lost in the noise. All other nonprofits, any successful nonprofit that's doing a great job at fundraising, they are in front of their supporters. And many of their supporters are also yours. And so you need to stand out and not be lost in the noise. So we want to help you do that. And for this current part of this series, is we want to talk about online giving, because online giving is a really big deal. We have a lot of different ways for a donor supporter to give. And I just want to talk about a few of these ways that people don't know too much about. And so, first way is credit card. It's the biggest way people want to give. They use that option because they can get miles and rewards and cash back and stuff like that. And so, at the end of the year, particularly, we have donors giving $10,000, $15,000, $20,000 on their credit card. And I have a Southwest credit card, and I can do round trip for one person to visit my parents in Florida for under 20,000 points. And so if you're donating 15 or $20,000 at the end of the year, you have that kind of money. That's a free flight. So that's kind of a little behind the scenes of why people choose to give that way. Debit card giving happens a lot with people who are on a budget. They also get rewards as well with some banks, but a lot of giving does happen through debit cards. And then the e-check option is where it pulls the money directly from the person's bank accounts. It's most often used for recurring giving. Donors like it because it has the lowest fees. So when a donor is thinking about, is this nonprofit I'm giving to getting the most money in terms of online giving, e-check is the way to make sure that the organization gets the most money. And when you communicate that to your supporters, they will give in that manner. Next is PayPal. There's just people, they just want to give via PayPal. It doesn't really matter to them that there are other options. A lot of times it's an efficiency thing. They're just trying to do all of their online purchases and giving and shopping through PayPal. And those people who are PayPal people, they trust it. That's the thing that they want to use. And so it's important to have it. Next is checks and bill pay. These aren't online ways for people to give through our platform, but oftentimes we find a lot of nonprofits that aren't sharing with their donors how they can give through checks and bill pay, meaning like they're only sharing ways that cost the organization money for people to give. So these are two free ways, and just having your address on your website somewhere is super important, and our online giving platform gives a place for people to have that address. Bill pay, all banks have a really simple, the majority of them offer free bill pay to their customers, and they just make it super smooth and simple. It's all really similar to where your bank is actually mailing a check to the nonprofit. And if you've used bill pay before, a lot of people use it to pay their electric bill, their water bill. It's the same thing. They can send the checks to nonprofit organizations as well. I think a lot of people think that bill pay is doing direct deposit into whatever business or nonprofit you're doing, and it's not. They're actually sending paper checks in the mail. So that's just an important thing to know. Next is stuff and assets. I'm going to start out grouping those together because the IRS says that 90% of our nation's wealth is in our stuff. And so that means that there's a lot of assets out there that if you're only accepting credit card and debit card and checks, you're missing out on this big whole other group of potential giving. Stuff and assets to the IRS is considered non-cash. So 90% of our nation's wealth is in non-cash assets. We are not a thrift store. We're not a garage sale. We don't want people's trash, but things of value. And so just in the last few years, we've had 5 cars, 2 motorcycles, 28 iMac computers. We have a stamp collection right now worth $60,000. There's a lot of stuff continually being given that we can help sell and liquidate. The last one here is assets. This is a big deal because there's lots of important tax implications, tax benefits for a donor. And several of these, the first four, stocks, bonds, mutual funds, ETFs, and crypto, work very much the same when it comes to taxes. If you own a stock and you have owned it for more than 1 year and a day and you donate it to a nonprofit organization, then you do not pay the taxes for the gains it's made, but you get a tax deduction. So there's a double benefit there. And so we get a lot at the end of the year. Once December hits, there's a bunch of donors that start reaching out, and it's really simple through our online giving platform. I'm just going to show you one of our ministry partners is Heart and Hand. And when you click donate on their website, it goes to the online giving platform, and you can, as an organization, Heart and Hand themselves can control a bunch of different funds they could have here, but they're just having one right now. And so if you click on assets in crypto, the donor can fill out a form to begin the process. And so I just wanted to show you how smooth that is on that side. We have talked about stocks, bonds, mutual funds, ETFs. You might notice I edited that. We had that spelled wrong, and I added another one on here. These are just really important, and there's tons of ways for donors to give that benefit them on their taxes, but also can benefit you greatly. Another one that I just added on here is number 298. That's an RMD, that's a required minimum distribution. And so when one of your donors is at the age of 70 and a half or older, they're required to take a minimum amount of money out of their investments, out of their retirement account. And when they take that out, when they move it out of their retirement and they put it in their checking account, it is then taxed as income. Often what donors do in this situation is they move the money from their retirement account to their personal checking account, and they're taxed on it as income. But then they give it away and they get a tax deduction. What you can do as a donor is you can skip the whole income tax portion, in your retirement account where you have your brokerage set up can give it to the charity for you. So then you're not taxed as income and you just get the tax deduction as a charitable gift. So that's a real big benefit of the RMD, and all that process with giving it to a nonprofit that's using our online giving platform can be started right on our online giving page, filling out the asset form there. And then this side is for donor advised funds. And so what a donor advised fund is it's like a charitable savings account. And so donors that are selling a business, or they're just really wealthy and they want to simplify their giving, they can put their funds into a donor advised fund, and then they get the tax deduction then when they put it in there from that fund, because that fund is actually a 501c3. And then they can give it away over time, but it's a savings account in that it's growing, it's invested. And so their tax gift that they made to their donor advised fund is growing in interest, but they can also give it away, and they have to give it away. And so a lot of nonprofits get checks from donor advised funds every month. We get direct deposits from some, we get paper checks in the mail. And a bunch of the well-known ones are Charles Schwab, the National Christian Foundation, Fidelity Charitable, and the top ones that we work with are listed right here in our website. And so it just makes it easier for the donor to connect their donor advised fund to your ministry right here on our website. So check that out. Yeah, I think that's it. Got a few resources down there because the National Christian Foundation, for on their list of asset giving, there's 14 different ways for people to give. Oh, I one more creative way people can give caught my eye: life insurance. How does that work? What is that, you may be wondering? It sounds weird, and it is. But your donor, they can buy a life insurance policy and they can name your nonprofit as the owner of the policy and the beneficiary. By doing that, they get a tax deduction for the cost, for their annual cost of the life insurance policy. And then when they die, the nonprofit gets the proceeds. They get the benefit of the life insurance policy. And so I've heard stories of a couple who had $80,000 in a savings account that they were leaving to their church. So one day when this couple passed, their church would get this $80,000. Well, their financial planner used just the interest earned from that $80,000 a year to buy a $400,000 life insurance policy for their church. That couple got the tax deduction on the cost of that life insurance policy. And then when they died, their church got over $480,000. So there's some huge benefits that donors need to be educated on. I think it's really important for all of you as nonprofit leaders to educate yourself on these ways of giving. That the easy ways for people to give are credit card, debit card, and e-check and PayPal and checks and bill pay. But the stuff and assets, they're not hard. They just take a little bit of knowledge. And so I encourage you to learn more about those. You can use the Charles Schwab's website on that, National Christian Foundation. I think it's important for us to provide other resources because a lot of these things are just unknown, and we want you to go to other places to learn about them as well. So thanks for watching. Don't forget to take the year-end fundraising course. It's super important to have a plan to be ready for the year-end giving season so you're not just lost in the noise as all these other nonprofits are sharing about what they're doing as well.